So yes, we discussed about motivation. Okay, the factors within and outside an organism that causes to behave certain way at a certain time. So next is drive, an internal condition or impulse that activates behavior to reduce the need and restore homeostasis. Homeostasis means where you know that when you consider the environments, there are two types of, one is the external environment, the other one is the internal environment. So the environment within your body, okay, the environment within your body is controlled. Your flow of blood and all those things, it is under control. So the control of the internal environment is known as homeostasis. Okay, so it is controlled by an organelle called hypothalamus. I will show you an image in my next slide. So it is hypothalamus situated located in the brain. Okay, that is the organ that controls this homeostasis process. So incentive, external goal that pulls or pushes behavior. Let me explain that. Okay, so I will show you about homeostasis in my next slides. Okay, so I have created an image where you can see theories of motivation. So these are the theories that we are going to study. Instinct, right? Instinct. Motives are innate, right? Motives are innate. Innate means originally which comes within your body. Innate means, okay, something which is generated within your body. Next is drive, biological needs as motivation. Incentive, extrinsic things that push or pull behavior. Arousal, people are motivated to maintain optimum level of arousal. Humanistic, hierarchy of needs. We will be explaining one by one next. Okay, so what is intrinsic motivation and extrinsic? Now here in this you can see, choose a pointer. Yeah, so intrinsic motivation here, extrinsic motivation is there. So in this they have given you the definition as you are motivated to do the activities because it is internally rewarding. You choose to do it because it's fun, enjoyable, and satisfying. So now here, motivation, there are two types. What is it? Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Okay, so intrinsic motivation means the motivation that means you are like willing to do a task because it is internally rewarding. Either you gain some fun out of it, or else you enjoy that, or else you're satisfied. For example, many people, they listen to music. Why? Because it's enjoyable and satisfying for them. People they watch YouTube videos. Why? Because it is satisfying to them. Okay, so similar, that is that factor which is internally rewarding is known as intrinsic motivation. So that factor, that means that the fun, the joy and the satisfaction, that is the thing which drives you to do that task. You understand? The next thing is extrinsic motivation. So you are motivated to do the activity in order to gain an external reward in return, right? Your goal is focused on an outcome and does not satisfy your basic psychological needs. Rather, it involves external gains such as money, fame, power, and avoiding consequences. So now, for example, if you're starting up a business, right, you do the business, why? You're in return, you're expecting a profit. Okay, that is why you start up a business. So that is due to an external factor. So extrinsic motivation, intrinsic motivation, you have to understand what are the differences, right? And next is arousal. Now here in this they have given you arousal. People are motivated to maintain optimum level of arousal. Okay, so here arousal is the feeling and emotion you have, feeling and emotion you're in before you go into a competition or just about to do a sport. For example, if you're just about to enter the ring of a boxing match and you're not in the correct mindset and your optimum arousal, yeah, and your optimum arousal level is low, then it means you're not bothered and really not up for the boxing match. So usually now this actually happens when you are like in a panicking stage, right? When you're panicking about, now when you're in a, now they have an example of a boxing match. Now usually when you are going to enter into a ring, right, for a boxing match, what happens is you will be a little in a unstable state. Many of the people, what they do is they when they are about to enter into a boxing ring, what happens is they stay their mind state will be a little unstable. Okay, that means the arousal level is very low. Okay, the arousal level is very low. So next, drives as a tissue needs. Now here, homeostasis, I explained you the balance of the internal environment, the constancy of internal conditions that the body must actively maintain. Okay, so this one includes the even your, what do you mean, the all the chemical and physical balance as well. Okay, so homeostasis means where your body is chemically and physically balanced. The that it's given in one word. Okay, homeostasis. Drives may be due to an upset in homeostasis, including behavior to correct the imbalance. So when there is any uh, malfunction, I mean like any malfunction or right some disturbance in homeostasis, it can cause you some it can cause some imbalance in your body. Okay, when there is some disturbance in the homeostasis. Okay, so that one can cause an imbalance in your body. Animals do behave in accordance with their tissue needs. Okay, however, homeostasis cannot explain all the drives. So homeostasis is not 100% responsible for all the. Actually, drives means it in this case drives. The meaning for drives means it the results due to homeostasis. Right, that is called as drives. Here I have given an extra explanation about homeostasis. Let's see. In biology, homeostasis is the state of steady internal physical and chemical conditions maintained by living systems. So this is actually an automatic system which is controlled by hypothalamus. You can see here, now this is the brain and we call the cerebrum this part. The larger area is called the cerebrum, and thereafter you get the cerebellum, which is that the back part of your brain. Okay, and then you get the brain stem and the spinal cord. So this together we call it as a central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord, right? So here I want to explain you the pituitary. There is a gland here. Just above the pituitary gland, you get the hypothalamus. So this is the organ that is responsible for homeostasis. Okay, so or also we can call hypothalamus as the biological clock. So that is also given a name as the biological clock of your human body, because that is the one which stimulates you. Now, for example, now when you are born, okay, when a baby is born, he or she doesn't know what is the time that you have to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and or else what is the time that you have to go to bed. So with practice, with a continuous practice, what happens is we train this hypothalamus. It's actually an alarm clock, right? We call it as the body alarm clock. So this one, what happens is you can train this hypothalamus in order to act as an alarm. So that is why when you when it becomes night, what happens? You fall sleepy, right? And next, when during morning hours you feel hungry. Again during lunchtime, again you feel hungry. So these are the natural behaviors. I mean, like the signals that are given by the hypothalamus. Okay, so this acts as a clock within the body. So this is the organ that controls, that is responsible for homeostasis. Okay, arousal theory. The arousal theory is the arousal theory of motivation suggests that people are driven to perform actions in order to maintain an optimum level of physiological arousal. Other people may do better with much lower arousal level. So they might feel compelled to seek out soothing and relaxing activities. Now, here see, the arousal theory of motivation suggests that people are driven to perform actions in order to maintain an optimal level of physiological arousal. So I told you that people are, in order for motivation to occur, there should be some sort of a force that drives that person. Do you understand? So it should be either, it can be any force, right? You can create a force, right? And you can use that force as a motivation for your drive. Okay, so here this arousal theory suggests that people are driven to perform actions in order to maintain optimal level of physiological arousal. So what do people actually people needs to maintain an optimum level of arousal. Okay, so for that only they keep on performing different types of actions. So because why? They want to maintain that optimum level of arousal. Okay, other people may do better with much lower arousal level. So some people are there, they can do better with much lower arousal rates. Okay, so they might feel compelled to seek out soothing and relaxing activities. So they are not, I mean, like they don't panic about a situation. What they do is they are very calm on a particular situation, and they are much satisfied, and they can perform better in a lower arousal level. Okay, curiosity motive helps to understand our inner. So curious means what? So you are more attentive to the surrounding, right? You're curious means you're paying more attention to the surrounding. So when you are paying more attention to the surrounding, right, that will help you to understand about your surrounding environment. So when you're curious, actually you understand a lot about your surrounding. Next is sensation seeking. Okay, sensation seeking means a person high in sensation seeking tends to look for exciting activities, right? So you can see this image, right? So it's a very like an exciting activity where most of them will not like to do this. Okay, so it's actually these people who are like sensation seeking people. What they do is they are ready to take any type of risk, but they are, because they get some sort of a sensation through these risks. Okay, so they are tending to they tend to do any sort of risky activity in order to obtain this sensation which they need. Okay, so these people are called as sensation seeking, right? Next one is humanistic theories. Abraham Maslow suggested that motives are divided into several levels, from basic survival needs to psychological and self-fulfillment needs. So this is Maslow hierarchy of needs. So this pyramid is known as Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay, you can see here. This is humanistic theory means which is focused only on a human being. I mean, like an individual person. Okay, so the needs of an individual person. You have starting. Well, let's start from the top. Okay, you have self-actualization. Next, you have self-esteem and love, belonging, safety, right, and physiological needs. So these are the, this is known as the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So these are the needs of an individual. Okay, the individual's needs. Okay, so this was this is known as the humanistic theory. I earlier also explained you in my previous lessons. Okay, next one is BMR. We call it the basal metabolic rate. Okay, so you can as a homework, what you can do is you can write. There is a space over here. You can see, right? In this space, you can write the equation, the formula for BMR. It's in Google. Just Google it and see. So this one, because this is not this is an additional topic which is in your syllabus. Okay, so you can, for additional knowledge, you can refine, write it in this space given. So BMR means the basal metabolic rate, the rate at which the body uses energy for vital functions while at rest. Okay, so you know your body is actually a factory. We can consider it as a factory because a lot of metabolic activities takes place. Okay, can someone tell me, shall I give this question to Nazla? Tell me, what is a metabolic activity? What do you mean by metabolic activity? Nazla, can you tell me?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what is metabolic? What do you mean by metabolic? And a metabolic activity. What is a metabolic activity?
Oxidization.
Yeah, that is an example. Oxidization means that's an example. Actually, metabolic activity means simply we can say where raw materials are involved and where you produce as well as it gives out a byproduct.
Breaking into pieces.
Yes, exactly. Right. Like if you take this respiration, right? Respiration where glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen in order to give energy. So that is also a metabolic reaction. Okay, so something like that. So your body is full of metabolic reactions. Okay, your body is full of metabolic reactions. It's a factory. It has a lot of metabolic reactions. So the rate at which the body uses energy for vital functions while at rest is known as BMR. Factors that influences BMR. Right now, these are the factors that influences BMR: your age, the sex, size, genetics, food intake. So these are the main 5 factors which influences BMR, which reduces or increases BMR. So so you can just write it in front, or you can write in separate note. How does age influence BMR? How does sex influence BMR? How does size influence BMR? Okay, how does the genetic composition influences BMR? And how does your food influence BMR? So I want you all to do this for homework. You all better write it, write how these factors influence the basal metabolic rate of the body. Okay, so here you can see with age how the average basal metabolic rate reduces. Okay, you can see when you are younger, the basal metabolic rate is actually at a higher rate, calories burned per hour. So gradually with age, you can see it retards, it goes down. That means your when you are growing older and older, what happens is I told you that your body is a machine. It becomes fatigued, it becomes tired. So your efficiency of your body gradually goes down. So the calories burned per hour gradually reduces. Okay, so this by this chart you can understand with your age, with the increasement of the age, right? What happens? Your BMR reduces. All right. Next, okay, can someone tell me what is obesity? I'll give this question to Mariam. Answer me. What is obesity?
Overweight.
Yes, overweight. Okay, so actually we can measure this weight by a system known as BMI, body mass index. You can see here. So an underweight person means now this is the equation for body mass index: weight in kilograms divided by height meter squared. Okay, height in meters squared. So when you get this, when you have this, you all can calculate and see. So a normal person's BMI will range between 18.5 to 24.9. Do you understand? So this one, underweight means 18.5 or below is called as underweight. Overweight means 25 to 29. So obese means we called 30 to 34.9. Extremely obese means 35 and above. If the BMI is 35 and above, they are extreme obese people. Okay, so obesity means condition characterized by excessive body fat and a BMI equal to or greater than 30. Okay, overweight condition categorized by BMI between 25 to 29. So simply these the entire detail is given in one image. You can see this. Okay, so you all have to remember this, how to calculate the BMI and what are the categories. I mean, like what are the ranges of the BMI for underweight person, normal, overweight, obese, and extreme obese person. Right. So this one I'm giving you for homework. Okay, this is for homework. Factors in obesity. So the factors which you all have to write it down, because this is the part 1. Okay, under motivation and emotion, this is the part 1. You have another part, the second part. So before I start up that in the next class, I will be checking the notes. So you all have to take a picture of this and send it to me once you are completed. So this note should be printed, and you all have to write the factors which factors in obesity, right? What are the factors that results in obesity, right? I'll give you one example. What is it? Having fast food. Okay, so you should explain, not short. I don't want short answers. You have to explain it in detail. Okay, so that is all about the theory for today. All right, so now I just want to explain about about